started sliding. I said, sliding down the road a week ago, and
She seems like she would be
80 degrees,
ideal,
and I ended
but
up
I'm
in the
looking
other
at
lane, going back the way Miss Candace, and thank goodness my car at 80 degrees. So I was like, I think I'm going home.
I am too, considering
I went back,
I mean, you
back
are
out.
heated and
It's,
so it's perfect, but I've also read that like thinner gas is regular, it's good in Missouri, but then like Southeast Texas, well, tops. So my husband she's like, yeah, so what she does is she'll pick up her hours and so yeah, okay, okay.
I like a sign, you know. I think that when I get back, you know, I'll take some back out. I'll just let
I
you
know,
know
me
when
too,
I'm
that's why I'm
home.
looking at it, for someone that can
Say, that's right at 20 mile an hour
I had
crazy.
gotten for like
So you know, I go around there like, okay, what is
so
this?
much, and it was like, where am I starting? There's
That
too
was in
much
the
stuff,
road, that was
and I'm
in
like,
the road.
and I couldn't take it because I'm not stopped and all this stuff, you know, and I'm sitting now an hour and a half with no problem.
That's what I'm afraid of.
You're not yeah, yeah. Yeah. She doesn't need it, but she is change her own. Yeah.
Say the people,
Have a quick look, what?
more organization.
I do enough to eat. I eat QuickBooks first.
Well, I do like that.
But if I have to, yes. I've never tried that.
Y'all ready, gentlemen? This meeting of the Escambia County Board of Adjustment dated July 2022 is hereby called to order. With 6 members present, we have a quorum. Will the clerk please swear in members of staff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Members of the board, copies of staff's resumes have previously been provided and remain on file for reference. The board has previously recognized staff as expert witnesses. Does anyone have any questions regarding their qualifications and abilities to offer expert testimony? Seeing none. The Board of Adjustment meeting package for July 20, 2022 with Development Services staff's findings of fact has previously been provided to board members. The chair will now entertain a motion to accept the BOA meeting package into evidence. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Willie, second by Judy. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Passes unanimous. Do we have proof of publication?
Yes, sir.
And did publication meet all the legal requirements?
Yes, sir.
Chair will now entertain a motion to waive the reading of the legal advertisement. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Judy, second by Willie. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Passes unanimously. Members of the board, have you reviewed the resume and transcript for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on May 18, 2022? Upon your review of the resume and transcript, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion regarding the hearing resume for the Board of meeting held on May 22. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Judy,
Second.
second by Willie. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. You're on.
Do we have to do the June 15th also?
I would, please.
May 18th and June 15th.
Oh, could we correct those minutes to, say,
Reflect both.
June 15, May 18 and June 15? Okay, so noted. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. The Board of Adjustment, the BOA, hears administrative appeals, variances, and conditional use requests. These hearings are quasi-judicial in nature. Quasi-judicial hearings are like evidentiary hearings in a court of law, however less formal. All public testimony will be taken under oath, and anyone testifying before the BOA may be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits that the BOA considers are entered into evidence and made part of the record. The giving of opinion testimony will be limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence in the record. After hearing the testimony and arguments for and against the proposed action, and before making its decision, the BOA will consider the relevant testimony, the exhibits entered into evidence, and the applicable law. Because decisions of the BOA relating to variances, conditional uses, and extensions of the development order for site plan approval are final, unless overturned by a court of competent jurisdiction, the county may issue development orders and permits for properties in accordance with the decisions of the BOA. However, if applicant requests the issuance of any such order or permit, and such order or permit is issued, the applicant and not the county shall bear any risk that such decision may be set aside, the development order or permit may be revoked, or the development may be otherwise enjoined by the reviewing court. Any applicant for relief from a decision of the BOA for said actions, or any aggrieved party as defined by state law, may seek review of such decision by filing an appropriate pleading in a court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the BOA decision. The date of the BOA decision shall be the date the BOA voted at the conclusion of the hearing. Whenever the BOA denies an application, no new application for an identical action on the same parcel shall be accepted for consideration within a period of 180 days of the BOA decision. Any person aggrieved by a decision of the BOA relating to an appeal of an administrative decision may, within 15 days thereafter, apply to the circuit court for review. Each individual who wishes to address the board regarding a particular issue must complete a blue request to speak form and submit it to the clerk of board. These forms are located on the table at the back of the commission chambers. You will not be allowed to speak until we received one of these completed request to speak forms. We must have these completed forms for public record.
All written or oral communication outside of this hearing with members of the BOA regarding matters under review today are considered ex parte communications. Ex parte communications are presumed prejudicial under Florida law and must be disclosed as provided in Board of County Commission Resolution 96-13 before a question by this board or any administrative appeal, variance, or conditional use request. The chair will ask, as each case is heard, that any board member who has been involved in any ex parte communication regarding the respective issue to please identify themselves and describe the communication. First case is conditional use 2022-08, 1035 West Michigan Avenue. Board members, has there been any ex parte communication regarding this site? Seeing none. Does any board member intend to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest? Seeing none. Would the individuals who are party to this item please come to the podium, identify yourself, state your name and address for the record, and be sworn in by the clerk.
Good morning. My name is Alara Mills Gutcher, 2311 Lee Street in Lynn Haven.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Yes, and we have one other.
Hey, Luke Strickland, 815 Pine Street, Tallahassee, Florida.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
And do y'all understand that all the criteria must be met for us to grant a variance? And I'm assuming you agree with the findings of the county?
Yes, we do agree, and just for the record, this is a conditional use request.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I believe that unless you have something to add, you'll have a chance to speak later. I think we'll go ahead and let county make the presentation.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I believe everyone here is on behalf of the applicant for both of these cases.
It is.
We don't have anyone else here. Staff is recommending approval, and if you wanted to expedite it.
Mr. Chairman, I've got at least one question.
Okay.
If I, reading the file last night, if I recall, this proposed development is in a well protection zone, is that right?
Yes.
What effect would it have if we granted the application for a larger facility? How would that affect the well protection zone?
So around the wells, we have two separate protection areas. There's a 7-year time of travel contour, and then there's a 20-year outside of that. In the 20-year, there's only going to be certain restrictions regarding stormwater and how you're going to dispose of that. That will be reviewed at development review with ECUA. They're one of the commenters on that. If it was in a 7-year, then we'd be looking at more restrictions. We would have, you couldn't use a sand chimney in your pond to breach the aquifer to get rid of your water. But this is in a 20-year, far enough outside of the 7-year contour. But once again, that is reviewed by our staff and ECUA at that time.
And isn't this parcel located, if I remember the maps, in near conservation areas also?
I don't know if there are official conservation areas, but there
Or
is drainage.
wetlands?
Yes, so off to the west of this, if you can sort of picture it, you're going downhill on Michigan, because to the west of here is where you get the drainage. There's a dam there for the lake, and that runs under Michigan at that point, off, like I said, off to the west.
And again, enlarging the facilities, you don't think that will affect any of these wetland areas?
No, sir, that's not on this actual parcel.
I know, but I was thinking the runoff, the stormwater, and
So it's, when it comes through at that point, through development review, it's going to have to meet all the county regulations regarding everything, including stormwater and stormwater runoff. Oh,
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Good morning, how you doing? My mind is going out. I do.
Thank you.
Horace Jones, let me add something too. Also too, like you said, it will have to go through stormwater review. And my limited understanding, we do have some fine planners and engineers who are here. Stormwater, certain type of stormwater, if it's connected to a state water body, it can impact wetlands. But that definitely can, as long as, but Miss Rosa and the engineer, they're gonna make sure that it meet those requirements. But with my limited understanding, certain type of stormwater can impact wetlands, if that's what it's directed to. So, but that will be, definitely be reviewed and checked into during the site plan review process.
Can I make a comment to maybe help you also? Currently, the site is paved. It looks like there was a commercial use there before. It's some old asphalt, so the development will improve the current conditions. It looks like right now it's just all sheet flowing off because there is no stormwater facility on the site right now.
Okay. When I was reading your analysis, I noticed you didn't go into the well protection zone, or maybe if you did, I could have
didn't.
missed it.
No, I didn't.
And I was concerned about
Sure.
that particular area. There are some sensitive lands around this development. I'll have to say that this is in a commercial area, and from that standpoint, it looks like, to me anyway, that it would be probably a boon to the neighborhood in that regard. But you also are have some sensitive wetlands around you too.
Well, between us and the wetland is an existing church also, so we're not immediately adjacent to the wetland.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a bug.
Board members, any questions of staff? Any questions of the applicant? The chair will now entertain a motion regarding this item. In your motion, please state whether or not you adopt staff's findings of fact. If for any reason you do not accept staff's findings of fact, please go through all the criteria and address each one specifically as why you do not concur. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept staff's findings of facts and approve the conditional use.
We have a motion by Judy, we have a second by Willie. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Passes unanimously. The next case is conditional use 2022-10. Board members, has there been any ex parte communication regarding this case? Seeing none, does anyone have knowledge or information obtained from a site visit or other sources? Seeing none. Does any board member intend to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest? Seeing none. Would the individuals who are party to this item please come to the podium and identify yourself by stating your name and address for the record and be sworn by the clerk, and that has already been done. You were provided a copy of the staff's findings of fact, and I assume you concur?
For the record, Alara Mills Gutcher, and yes, we concur.
Okay, and you want to follow the same procedure as before on the previous case, Drew, or you have any comments?
Yes, sir. Same cast of characters, same
Okay.
recommendation for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I do, again, have a question.
Yes, sir.
This area is abutting several large developments, and I'm wondering what kind of a larger footprint, how that's going to affect. You've got that Masaryk plantation and white cedars. I mean, this isn't like the other case where it's not really in a real terribly built-up residential area. this is tucked right on, underneath, a fairly large residential area. This increased footprint, how is, you think that, how is that going to affect, these homeowners?
So, there is quite a bit of residential density in the area. Could you go to the previous map? As you can see, this is our future land use map showing it's mixed use urban. And as you can see off to the east, north and south of it, you have a lot higher density in there of residential uses. This one is zoned high density mixed use. It's 2 parcels that are going to be joined. Each parcel is quite a bit larger than any of those residential ones in the higher density areas there. And you know, it's right at the corner of 2 collector roads. Right. And you know, the mixed use element of the zoning does allow for retail sales and services. It's just a restriction on how large a square footage the footprint of the building can be. Frankly, if you're looking for a site, I understand why they're picking this one. They do have quite a bit of folks living right there around it. And from a traffic standpoint, that's kind of the best place to be if you're going to be at the intersection of those 2 heavily traveled roads.
And as you, Horace Jones, and as you know, from previous experience, very, very recent experience, if there was a major, let me put it this way, this room would have, we sent out public notification. This one, this one would have been full. And I know y'all know that firsthand, especially with areas with this type of retail. This one would have been full again. Y'all know that. Firsthand experience. So as you stated so well, two collector streets meet the location criteria. It's a busy intersection. Yes, it is surrounded by neighborhoods, by communities. People can walk to it. So it meets all of the criteria, and the site that was chosen appears to be good for their business model. This one would have been for, because we definitely sent out public notifications.
I presume there's going to be, buffers and,
Yes, sir. Between the uses, there's definitely going to be buffering. And just so you know, the property immediately to the north is a stormwater pond between this property and those residences. But off to the west, you have 2 houses that immediately abut it. They will be required to provide buffering from those uses, even though on the north side they've got the pond in between. They're still going to have the buffering.
Is a plot plan available so we can see how this structure looks on the property?
Let's pull up. Yeah, go ahead. So that's, yeah, we've got a survey. Yeah, it's, hang on, we're gonna find it. It is. Keep going down.
And even with that,
Yeah, there you go.
the staff may, once they come in for the review, it may change.
Yeah.
So it may need to be more. So just because you're looking at that does not
There you go.
necessarily mean that that's what it's going to be. It may increase substantially. You never know when you get the site plan review.
Is there a limit to how large it could be without, by the county, or could we put a restriction on that?
Well, there's a restriction built into the conditional use, okay? The upper size limit in that is 35,000 square feet. Ticket parking I mean, I realize it's the two parcels when they're combined are gonna be larger than a lot of them in the area, but, to put that much on there, once you put in parking and your drainage, you're gonna be limited simply by the square footage is gonna be limited by those development
I
factors.
understand that, but potentially it could double and perhaps fit in there.
You wanna address that as
So,
far as
just, there are two structures on each one of these two parcels today. There's two parcels that will be combined to develop the store. And, each of those are pretty large homes, so combined, just the heated and cool spaces of the home, not the driveways, not any sidewalk, not any pool that might occur, are about 5,500 square feet. And if you treated these separately, because they are two separate parcels, they can each have up to 6,000 square feet today. So combining them and creating the 12,460 square foot store plus the parking and adding the stormwater, we don't see there'll be a problem with stormwater.
Is the 12,480, is that a set figure? I mean, in theory, you could go larger.
Well, we're asking for that number. I think your code allows you to agree up to 15,000 square feet on a conditional use.
Oh,
This number will allow more grocery incorporated into, it's the prototype that they use when they develop the store.
and will this facility, does the ECUA not have a sewer out in this area? I see that there's a septic drainage field. I wondered about that last night.
So the engineer back here is telling me there is not going to be a septic tank. There will be a connection to ECUA.
Okay, I was just wondering why it was indicated in.
This is a conceptual. It was developed a few months ago, so back in April. So we hadn't discovered everything yet in order to supply this as part of the application packet.
So this will have ECUA sewer services then? It won't be any kind of septic?
Correct.
Okay. Because on farther down, not terribly far, I mean, I happen to go by this area more or less routinely. And I will say that if you were looking for an area where you have two major arteries and it's on the corner, it's an ideal site from that sense. But if you go a little bit further down, you get into wetlands. And the worst thing, you don't want a giant septic field abutting essentially potential migration to wetlands.
Sure, sure.
Drew, let me clarify this. Is the code limit this store to 15,000?
The code's here, I can read it out to you. So for the conditional use in the HDMU zoning, it says medium scale, this is under retail sales, medium scale, which means gross floor area greater than 6,000 square feet per lot, but no greater than 35,000 square feet is the size limitations within this conditional use.
I guess I'm still confused because I heard you indicate 15,000 square feet.
He's correct. I'm sorry, I was wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
It's quite a wide range.
Yeah, and I understand that with
very
parking
blunt
and
and
driveways
tool.
and all that,
Yes,
you
sir.
can only get so much, but I'm concerned about how large it could go.
Well,
This plat plan shows some open space, which is nice,
Mm-hmm.
and I just hate to see it get filled up completely.
well, it is certainly within this board's purview. It's a conditional use. You can apply conditions to that regarding, I mean, the whole point here is regarding the size of the building.
Right.
So this board can absolutely make a condition on that.
So just if you're looking at the drawing today, virtually the entire development will be on the one parcel. The other
Okay.
parcel will be left for stormwater and open space.
I'm sorry, did you say the other parcel will be left for what?
The stormwater.
Ponds and,
The stormwater,
stormwater and
open space.
green space?
And then if that was going to be developed later on, over 6,000 square feet, they'd have to come back to the board for that too, right, Drew?
Well, if they're approved, they've already been given an
Okay,
exception.
gotcha.
Yes, sir. Because they're gonna be combining the two parcels. I mean, currently you could come in, theoretically, someone could come in and by right, put a 6,000 square foot on each parcel, in theory.
They could have a little shopping center type arrangement then, I guess. 2 stores, you know, in the same building or something like that.
In theory, yes.
And again, the wetlands that I'd mentioned in pretty good proximity, there are going to be a review of making sure that those are protected, is that right?
Yes, sir. Once again, it's gonna have to meet all the county standards. Those wetlands off to the west, it's kind of a swampy area. That's actually headwaters for Carpenter's Creek.
Right,
Yes, sir. We're very aware of that.
okay. And you've not heard from any of the relatives, any of the residents in the area about this proposed development, one way or the other?
We have not. I think correspondence would go to the county.
It would, and we haven't gotten anything.
A quick question. On the map you were showing, just to the top of this property, there was like a retention hole, that hole, what is that?
So that's a retention pond for that
County retention pond?
Yes, sir, for that subdivision.
So there's gonna be a ton of open space in that area.
Yes.
And where the 2 buildings are down below, those are going to be taken down, and is that right?
Yes, those 2 residential structures and any accessory structures will be removed.
And will there be some kind of natural vegetative barrier? If you look, you see where that Mazarac Boulevard, those homes back up right to your property line. Will there be some sort of border on your side to protect?
200 feet of open field.
But we're also gonna be requiring a landscape buffer on both of those sides and fencing, in addition to the green space on that side.
Drew, would this
structure be using the county retention area or strictly
No,
the
sir.
one, their own separate?
Yes, sir. Each site has to accommodate their own. The pond right there to the north was designed to accommodate that subdivision alone, not,
Okay, so they wouldn't be overloading the county?
no, sir.
Okay.
Strictly their own stormwater system.
There are a couple of requests to speak. They're all in favor of the project. Would anyone who signed up like to address from the podium? If you're in favor, it's duly noted. You're good? You're good. Board members, any questions of staff? Any questions of applicant? Chair will now entertain a motion regarding this item. In your motion, state whether or not you adopt staff's findings of fact. For any reason, if you do not accept staff's findings of fact, go through the criteria and address each one. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt staff's findings of facts
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Willie, a second by Marty. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you all. Staff, I see that we don't have a meeting in August.
That is correct. We don't have anything submitted.
September 21st.
Yes,
for
sir.
Next meeting. Do we already have a case?
Uh,
Two cases, okay.
September, yes, for September.
September. Counselor, do you have any words of wisdom? If, without objection, we stand adjourned.
Thank you, board.